after. Welcome everyone. Today is Friday, November 20th, and this is our painting webinar, Trans Lives Matter. And thank you for joining us today. Sorry about the little delay starting, but we're recording already. We're excited. We put some images in the shared folder. Let us know. Jenny's coming in a couple of minutes, and she'll be able to help you. I need to trim my mustache. We're excited to use our creativity and our activism to observe a very important, we consider important day. So as I said in the email, I uploaded just a few images of transgender people that were unfortunately, they're not with in this world with us this year, but we opened the opportunity for you guys to research if you wanted to do any other images. These images were found in Facebook posts, in funding websites, and social media. And I forgot the website, but I'm just going to put it on the shared folder. And without further ado, I'm not going to introduce the assignment. We know why we do this. I just picked this image. I'm just going to flip this. And I'm going to start sketching. So this is, ooh, okay. So this is the image that I just picked. Later. And so what I do, I use a format that's 12 by 16. Sorry, guys. 12 by 16. Let me just send this really quickly. 1 second. All right. So yeah, and so I'm using a 12 by 16, and it's I would say it's a little bit larger than we would recommend, unless you have a little bit more time to work on this. Then it's fine. But 9 by 12, I think it's a much better size, if you ask me. I think that's good. Let me just. All right. So portraiture. I chose this image. And I have the charcoal. So very important, just recognize the format and the orientation. It's very important. I was able to crop the image so I can guide myself with the printout. So I try to facilitate and make things easier for me. Oh, yay. Oh my goodness. Let me just see. There you go. Jen.
Hi, friend.
Hi, love. So yes, thanks for being here, and we're excited. So we just started a few minutes ago, and I guess both of us were just like crazy.
Oh, we do? We're on? This is happening?
We're on. Yes, everyone's in. And I think, yeah, Lois is in. Yeah, so perfect.
Awesome.
Hi, Sarah Brosher, thanks for joining us, and we're super excited. Okay, so what I like about this comparison, or the fact that I just was able to print this a little bit larger, is that it allows me to do horizontal orientations. I know that we send the images an hour before the session starts. It's okay to do this from a smartphone, but for the purposes of the webinar, I always try to make an effort to bring a printout so it's a little bit easier to see from the camera after it's recorded. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up the main lines, and I need to bring the brushes. And I'll start with my first potato shapes. So first part of the sketching is just to bring a very generalized broad silhouette. Because what we want to do first is to just make sure that we arrange things in our paper that fit the format, the orientation, and the size that we're using. Because most likely, especially if you're using your smartphone as an image reference, there's a great possibility that the image will be either too small or that we won't consider the edges as part of the composition. As everyone knows, composition, we try to put a lot of reinforcement on arranging things on the format. It's very, very important. The more we paint, the more we're able to recognize when composition is not controlled and things look off center and not intentional. So I think for me, it's very important that what I put at the beginning on the paper fits the size, the orientation, and the shape of the paper. I always look for what happens around the edges. The edges of a painting tend to have almost like a pool, like a magnetized pool, and they tend to just make things look like much more attached to the edges. We may think like there's half an inch and that would be enough anywhere else in a painting, but when it falls right closer to the edge, that edge has a gravitational pull, and then it just makes the composition look off center, not off center, off frame, if you will. All right, so potato shapes means only silhouette. So that's what I'm doing. I already predict that since this is a portrait, I'm gonna spend a little bit more time with the measuring, the alignment, and that happens every single time. So the purpose of the first potato shape is just to see how it falls. I'm not doing any lines inside, none. So just, yeah, I just want to see how things fall. Okay, this would be a good example of what we call potato shape. And again, the reason that we start with this is because we want to make sure that whatever we do has a relationship with the format. So after that, I will go back to the silhouette and perhaps start creating certain definitions or variations on the silhouette. We haven't done a portrait in a while, so I'm so happy that we are going over this. Whoops, I'm just gonna, since I have the potato shaped lines, what I'm doing is not just retracing. I use the lines as a base, as a guideline rather. And then what I do is I just go over and see if I can catch any nuances and variations on the line. I know that this will change a lot, but for now, this is where I'm at. Okay, I think that's okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I don't have the materials, but oh, wait a second. I'm gonna totally cheat right now. Totally. I use the handle of a paintbrush. I have them in the other room. It's just been a little bit crazy here, but as everyone experiences, things are moving in this house. This kind of like studio, it's moving around in the past few days. So a thing that we could do, let's just start with a beautiful keystone. Something, I liked all the images. Sometimes what I do is I just count the images and I just randomly pick a number from whatever 1 to, I think there were like 8 images or 10 images. But this time I was gravitating towards that. What am I doing? I'm connecting the 4 points that are the most important on a face that form the keystone. Keystone is a word that defines an area of the face and in which the 2 main axes cross. The vertical axis that splits the face in 2 similar mirror image halves, and then the eye level. And this is important because if you put the keystone within the silhouette in a good place, then everything branching off the keystone will be a little bit easier to draft. So, whoopsie, here we go. I haven't prepared my palette or anything, but I have time. I just wanted to, totally cheating right now, but that's okay. I just put the keystone right here. It's a little bit closer. And in fact, I need now the handle of a paintbrush that I'm going to bring in 1 second. So here we go. Totally measuring this, and I'm totally measuring this right now using the handle. I'm using the handle to actual measure. And again, I just do it to facilitate the translation. Even if you use a grid or you measure the way I do, you'll still have to do some tweaking. So it's not absolutely perfect, and it shouldn't be, right? So the keystone on my image looks like a square, and that allows me to do the facial features. As we usually say, we go from top to bottom. Eyebrows first, there's a reason why, then the shape of the eye, then the bottom of the nose, and then the lips. In that order. I haven't seen anyone follow that order, but for me, it just makes sense. The eyebrows are the most architectural and graphic part of the face. And once I position the keystone, it's easier for me to do eyebrows first and then do the eye line. So I can compare with the eyebrow, that the other way around. If I do the eye line first, I tend to make them either too small or too close. And then I just do the eyebrow on top in relationship to the eye. And in the end, the eyes and the eyebrows do not have a good relationship with the rest of the face. So what I do first is always to try and start with the eyebrows. Because if I start with the eyebrows, a couple of things happen. I can then extend them from the point, the head of the eyebrow, all the way to the tail, and then find out what's the distance between the tail and my silhouette. So that's the best way that I can find to harmonize, integrate, bring together the eyebrow with the rest of the frame. Again, or as we always mention, drawing is a game of relationships, and we try to add things, not just for the sake of adding, but to establish relationships with everything else that we may have. I should also say that the goal of this assignment, we should remind ourselves of this constantly. It's not to reproduce or copy the photograph, but translate it and recreate it. I value the word, or I appreciate the word recreation, because it contains a certain level of originality. So let's not get caught up in the photographic the premise of the image. There's a photograph already, and we're just like translating it with based on our own practice. So don't expect, or don't expect. I think expectation is a good word. To have necessarily a resemblance, so that making that the most important criteria to decide if your painting is good or not. So I know that I'm gonna have to do a lot of tweaks, but this is a good start for me. And then what I'll do after that, I'm just gonna do the shape of the eye, just the eye lines. The eye lines means the part of the eye that contains the eyelashes, I guess, the upper eye line, and I start from the tear duct, and then the bottom one. Both eye lines are different, but the important thing here is that I consider the tear duct the beginning of my drawing, because I feel like it's the most graphic. Again, it's a good starting point. And then from the tear duct, I can decide and observe the ascension of the line, how it just peaks, what kind of curvature, how it descends, and what's the difference in curvature between the upper line and the bottom line. So all those things I try to observe with an impressionistic eye. And I'm saying this because the impressionists, they broke the rules in the sense that they were all about scientific stuff. For the first time, they disassociated observation and association. There was no connection there. They just literally, their revolution or their the newness was in painting what they would see, which was pretty daring at the time, right? And it still is, if you ask me, it still is. Paint what you see. So simple and yet so difficult to do. So what else am I looking at right now? I'm looking at the comparison between the corner of the eye and the tail of the eyebrow. And I feel like I need to do it a little bit less. So what's odd and awkward here, it's the fact that without an iris, it's just gonna look really amateurish and basic and not really sophisticated. So, and I just have to be patient because I know that I'll be able to move things around. So I think that's okay. Let's just do the iris. Okay. Iris is mostly hidden on the upper part. Just make sure that you position the iris in a correlating way between both eyes. I will tell you right now that the first strike will not be correct. And I can speak to an audience of professional painters and be a little bit more frank and honest and harsh. Don't expect the first pass on positioning the iris to give you a final result. Why? Because usually what we do, we place them and then they don't feel correlating in the sense of both irises having a similar position inside of the sclera. The sclera is the white of the eye, by the way. And so it looks like they're both looking in the same direction. Just gonna take a little bit. You have to see the ratio or the balance between the sclera on the right side of the iris and the left side of the iris to see if it's correlating with the other eye. So I always look at the sclera and find out if my iris is positioned in a way that it's balanced, looking at the image, and then correlates the position on the other eye. All right, so this is just gonna be it for now. My eyes are a little bit larger, but I'm not gonna change that right now. Maybe I'll just adjust it later. I need to do a lot of shading so I can just find out if things are well integrated. Always check the time, and we're gonna do this for you. It's 11:24, so I think I'm okay. Again, I expected to spend a little bit more time, and what I'm gonna do right now is to just align the bottom of the nose. First thing, bottom of the nose. Generally, it's the most graphic. And also what I do is work with alignments. This is a way of using grids that's very specific to the image. In this sense, what I do is I do a vertical line that's flush to the nostril and see how where it lands on the eye. So it lands right here. It lands in the middle of the iris. And on the other side, it's closer to the tear duct. So this would be my scaffolding for the nose. And I don't see a lot of lines, so I don't want to do anything too graphic. Sometimes in trying to be a little bit less harsh, I just do a little bit of shading instead. So this could be a good opportunity to do that. I think that's okay. I'm not going to go into details about the anatomy of the nose yet, but I just wanted to get the height and the correlation or alignment with the nostrils. And I just chose an image I forgot. I should have like been a little bit more careful with a smile, and that's mouths are a little bit harder, and with an expression, it's a little bit, it goes a little bit, it's a little bit harder. So what I do with the mouth is I try to do the lines between the mouth first. Again, correlation, it's important. So I'm just going to do a correlation on the right and a correlation on the left. So the one on the left, it's a little bit wider. So I get the width. We tend to make mouths very small. And now that I have this, I can attempt to do the line between the lips. What's important as well, my face has an orientation, the face that I'm using. So we tend to make the lips like center, front and center. The Cupid bow, it's right in the middle, regardless if the face is left or right. So I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen here, or at least that I'm aware of that effect. So one side of the mouth will have a different length than the other. And after I have the line between the lips and the width and how low or high it is in comparison to the nose, what I do is I'm just going to start to bring the idea of the lips. So with the lips, I try not to draw them. I did right now. I just tried to shade them, but it's okay. Don't worry about the look of these things, and if it looks this or that, it's okay. It's just the beginning. I have the cheekbone. I think that's good. And I think the most important thing right now, the jacket. I love the bomber jacket that she's wearing, and the collar. Here we go. I just love that muscle of the neck, and there's a little bit of the shoulder, which I love. All right, so for me, this would be a good first initial sketch. I would tell you that in a regular traditional class, the first session would be possibly dedicated to drawing only. And I know this not just because I've been to a few academic sessions, but yeah, I've also seen some of us do that. You know, first few hours, it's more than 2 generally. It's usually concentrated with line work. And session number two is shading. Now, the next session wouldn't take us long because, you know, we have to sort of like go over that and we would lose a lot of definition. But with portraits, anyhow, that's what happens. So I'm just gonna move on to the shading right now. And I just need a little bit of shading to integrate the images, and then we'll see what happens. I'm gonna give myself until 11:45, so maybe another 15 minutes, hopefully less, to wrap up the dry stage of this process. If you are already painting or you started like right off the bat, I would just raise a little bit of a red flag. Just be careful. You don't need to rush, because sometimes the problem or the issue with rushing is that whatever you see later, it's a little bit more difficult to deconstruct. So darker to lighter. Let's not get too caught up with facial features. A portrait is a depiction of more things than just the facial features. Portraiture, unfortunately, in my opinion, it just it has too much focus on facial features. And here's an opportunity to start identifying where the light's coming from. What kind of light do you have on your image? I have some highlights right here, but I have a point of light from the back. Definitely there's some darkness on this side of the face. So take this as an opportunity not only to integrate, but to start studying your light in the image. Start studying your light. I'm just gonna remove right now the scaffolding that I did. I don't need it anymore. I know that I'm gonna have to move things around, but for now, way. Here we go. So I just have this, and then I'm gonna start adding some darker shadows. Usually what I do is, perhaps it's a good idea to apply a generalized shade. Why is this the most important, or we consider the most important part of a sketch? So it's the opportunity that we have right now to start integrating the lines that we did within values. And when we do that, then we have an opportunity to start making changes and adjustments. So I know that this is not just to make it look pretty. Not at all. For me, it's actually when I can go over certain things and start making changes. So I move edges around, I just rebuild certain things. But yeah, just know that this is a very important step in regards of like integrating different parts of your linear drawing. And I think I'm okay with I don't think I'm gonna change it, but who knows, later I'll possibly will. I'm gonna concentrate on the darker areas. This is a little bit lighter. The shading brings things together for me. So I know that I don't have to panic during the drawing because it's just a really ugly stage. Ugly emotionally, not because it may look ugly or not. But it's the part that people generally freak out. We all freak out, but yeah. When I start blending, then I have an opportunity to mold. So this is for me really a good place to be, because I can just take my line drawings and I can start moving things around a little bit. So I don't panic. Oops, I don't panic too much during the squint your eyes as well. If you have different values, bone structure is important here. What's bone structure? Bone structure is when you see on the skin the highs and lows. Oh, this would have been a great, Dina, I'm pretty sure you're going to show us something spectacular. No pressure there, but it would have been a great subject to practice the Zorn palette. Yeah, I always feel like, I don't want anything to take away from how important that is. So yeah, I don't regret it, but this could have been a great example for that. All right, so I'm just building. Whoops. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy. It's not super harsh. I need to bring a little bit more darkness right here. Lower a tad. Yeah, I'm okay. And I say 11:45. Always very important to give yourself or plan for. Yeah, I think I'm happy. Yeah, the choker. I forgot what I wrote about this image. Let me just find out. I'm gonna open, her name is, Laura, thanks for sending us a note. Like, I think it was you, Laura, letting us know about the little biography. We saw this image. By the way, the Human Rights Campaign is the organization that fights for a lot of things, but it's the one that really does all the job in reporting, and not only reporting, but spreading, making sure that as many outlets as possible pick up the news. So they're on the forefront. If you're interested in that sense, Brie Black's heart beat 985 million times in her 27 years. Oh my gosh, whoever wrote that sentence, seriously. According to a report in the Miami Herald, her family said that she preferred the first name Nuck. Gosh, I just want to find out more about that. It's not enough. Anyhow, so listen, listen, here I am. All right, let me just, I have some time. I'm going to do some rambling right now. The Human Rights Campaign, they have a new director. The Human Rights Campaign, if you've seen those blue stickers with the equal sign in yellow that people used to, not anymore, but stuck in cars and stuff like that, that's just the symbol, the logo of the Human Rights Campaign. And it's a freaking awesome organization, and they're constantly on the lookout for laws and governments that infringe on the rights of people. We should all support it. And yeah, so there's a very, very good, if you're interested, because, you know, I just feel like as much as we are all super happy of the turn of events of this election, I just feel like the president-elect hasn't had enough credit for being an outstanding individual with a passionate agenda for equal rights for everyone. I don't think, you know, I think he took the backseat and let the other crazy guy ramble his way to defeat, I guess. But he's never had an opportunity to be on the spotlight and really, I don't know, you know, maybe it wasn't a good idea to do so, to not hide, but not be more forceful. Anyhow, so if you want, August of this year, President-elect was in a conversation interview with the director of the Human Rights Campaign, and it's a wonderful interview. Jen, if you want to find it. The director, amazing person, was very, it was an interview in which the Human Rights Campaign endorsed the now president-elect. And in the interview, the director was asking president-elect specific questions, very, very, you know, very, very good, better than any of the moderators of the 3 debates, if you ask me. And the president-elect was eloquent, and also it revealed very personal information that we didn't hear about. Like, for example, his son, the one who passed away from the brain cancer.
Oh.
Yes, Bob, yes. So thanks, Jen, like your brother.
Like my brother.
Yeah. Anyhow, so he talks about how when he was alive, it was part of his belief system to make sure that he would fight for equality for all. And so he carries that spirit. I don't know, it's a really beautiful. It's, if you feel like hopeless in regards of human rights in general, women's rights and any kind of rights, just watch the interview and you'll feel good about where he stands. It's really wonderful. I don't know why I talked about this, but yeah. So I talked about this because during this awful election season, I found myself, personally trying to educate people from the community that unfortunately they were not on the same page. It was just awful. So the best source of information in regards of human rights that I highly recommend, if you feel like you need to have that vocabulary, or you want to be versed about all the disgusting laws that have been passed attacking individual freedoms, the Human Rights Campaign website does an awesome job. So I was just like sending them articles disputing their bullshit. I lost a few friends, you guys. All right, I'm so happy, but let's just focus on the positive. Look at this amazing draft or sketch. I'm ready to give yourselves a lot of compliments. You're an amazing artist, and it doesn't matter what happens in whatever stage that you are right now. It's a good stage. So I'm gonna introduce the palette that I'm gonna do. Actually, I'm gonna bring the colors, and I'm gonna talk. I should have talked about all this nonsense while prepping my palette, but guess what? I'm gonna talk about it right now while I prep my palette. I'm using two liquids. I'll put the staple palette, and I'll just talk about that. This could be a good example while you guys paint. If you want, the first stage that I recommend, if you want to go right ahead, is to do a wash or a staining. And what it means is just use a neutral color and try to follow the same value scale that you have on the sketch. Let me see if I can just bring it. And I'll just show you how I prep the palette. How's that? While you do this. Also very happy to, I should say, to be doing this with you guys for obviously for many reasons, but one of those is because I just need to take a break from the news again. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're still getting sucked in. These press conferences and hair dye dripping and just like nonsense. It's just so awful. It's just so awful. All right, so I'm just gonna move this and focus on my palette. I have the Ziploc. We recommend just putting things in a Ziploc. I'm gonna start with the whites, titanium white. Very important. White is the pigment and the color that it's generally mostly used for the most amount or the most quantity on any painting, whether directly blended or white that exists inside of the light pigments, the ecru, the pink tones that we use, those elements or those colors have white. Well, I don't have the gray, so I'm just gonna put, the other white and two blacks. Payne's gray, the coal black. And I think Sarah Brochure and Amanda, I don't know if you guys have been in any of the webinars we talked about blacks, but we had several epiphanies about pigment and color, and now we're using two blacks. Let me just move away. So we're using Payne's gray, and then we're using Van Dyke brown. Van Dyke brown is a very dark brown that looks very black, but it has a warm temperature. Raw umber. I'm just gonna go by periwinkle, labeled radium blue. Where's my zinc white? I don't know, but I'll use it later. Portland medium gray. Very, 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 very useful. Burnt sienna. I think we're going to use this a lot as a neutral. Yellow ochre. A favorite of the Baroque painters. I've been obsessed with the Baroque period, Baroque style. Naples in the 1700s must have been a fun place to be as an artist. And I just have the zinc white. And these two colors, the um, salmon rose and periwinkle, or as labeled radiant red and radiant blue, they're great colors for light, to paint light, to change the temperature of the light in reflections or highlights, or to just alter the temperature of a color that we may need to change. So we use them all the time, and I don't have the zinc white, and I don't want to spend too much time. This is exactly what happens when you don't have your colors organized. The color that you want to have never shows up. And this is zinc white. So okay, I got my palette, and let's go. A big brush, rag. I'm gonna go darker to lighter. I'm using two liquids, the turpentine or mineral spirits for the wash and to clean the brushes. And then I use a combination of poppy seed oil and synthetic resin. I like to combine them both and not use just either the resin or the oil. Poppy seed because it slows the drying down a little bit. We started this webinar series using Gall Kit, but it's too dry. It dries. It makes the paint dry too fast, and I will consider my painting to be in progress at the end of this 2-hour session. And we continue painting on Wednesdays, and I want the paint to still be a little bit wet, at least on the palette. So that's why we switched from Gall Kit to poppy seed oil and a combination of a different medium. So darker to lighter, I guide myself with a charcoal. And in this case, for example, I'm going to use Van Dyke Brown because I identify a darker, a warmer temperature on the black. What's staining? Staining is the transitional stage from dry to wet that allows us to do a few things. The first thing is to prime the paper, very important, or prime the painting surface. I've been talking about format. I've been talking about size, shape, and orientation. Now I'm going to focus on the painting surface, and it depends on what you're painting on. You will have a different experience with the paint. If you're using canvas, just be careful because it's a little bit more challenging, and I wish people would say that, because the little tiny pockets of the canvas, especially when it's pre-primed, which they do a really poor job covering those tiny pockets, it's gonna grab more paint. So you'll have to use more paint to create layers. It's a little bit more challenging. It's definitely a little bit more challenging. So depending on what you have, if you have a board, a gesso board that's super fine, then yeah, you'll have definitely more fluidity. That's my favorite painting surface. I'm using paper, so there's a little bit more sucking or porous surface, so it's just going to be a little bit different. But the idea is that with this stage, what we do is we prime that painting surface. And I'm just going to go to the other room and pick up some more turpentine. I don't have enough. So I'll bring the three liquids. Whoopsie. So this is the poppy oil. I love the poppy seed oil because it slows down the drying, and I think it's a good oil to have. This is the solvent-free fluid medium from Gamblin. That's the brand that we use. We love this brand. It's professional, but doesn't have high-end prices. So that's the reason why we use it. Studio brands, they're so awful. And it's so bad to start with a brand that it's not really good, because you may think like, this medium is not for you, and it's just awful. So yeah, it's mid-range. This is not the most, Gamblin is not the most expensive brand. It's mid-range, but it's the one that has better quality without super high prices. And they have a non-toxic medium. No fumes, no nothing. This is excellent. So I have enough anyhow. And then Gamsol, which also it's non-toxic. Well, it's not as non-toxic as the other one, but they do a very good job. So Sarah Brochure, you are safe. All right, so I'm just gonna continue darker to lighter. I don't like to develop the drawing too much, Laura. You are a pro right now. But the reason is because if I do, then when I do the wash, I'm too careful. I just don't want to mess up the drawing too much. It just becomes. Do you guys? I'm gonna give you a visual analogy that I think hopefully is gonna make you laugh. So when I was a kid, I mean, we didn't have a lot of channels. When I was a kid, here I come. We didn't have a lot of channels in Spain, and on Sundays there was this awful program that it was like a circus thing. But that was it. So I just watched it, and there was a number that was always my favorite number. And I'm just going to be completely inappropriate, but there was one individual that would just have like plates, and then sticks, and they would talk about stereotypes and racism. Usually the individual had to be of Asian descent, I guess. I don't know why. I don't know why. But, it was like post Franco Spain, who knows, it doesn't happen anymore, obviously, thankfully. But yeah, I was just fascinated of that person just putting a lot of like rotating plates on sticks. And it was my favorite number. I just, no words needed. No one needed to, talk. And I would just like love that. So anyhow, I bring that because if we make a sketch that's too detailed and then we want to put the wash on top of it, we're going to feel like that. Like we have to take care of all these kind of like rotating plates up in the air and nothing falling. And it's just such an uncomfortable position to be. And, it's good for that performance, but not for painting. All right, sorry if I said something really stupid about the ethnicity and background. I don't know why that was the case. I would like to find out actually. Why was the person that looked of Asian descent would be the one with the plates rotating? That's so weird. Anyhow, so yeah, I'm just washing this. Just washing this, yeah. Using a combination of burnt sienna and raw umber, and trying to just build darker to lighter. There's green here, but I may just do the green with very Zorn style with Payne's Gray and raw umber. I'm sorry, ochre. So yeah, the bomber jacket with that. Jen, what's up? How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
How are your auditions?
Oh man. So you know how it is. The minute you plan something, God laughs. So I had a plan with my girlfriends to go to this you know, it's very socially distant, outdoor, mask wearing. You spread out little winery in Malibu. They have a very big backyard, and it was like the first time that we were like, let's do something special. So as I'm driving there, um, I have a friend that works in casting, and she was like, I'm about to send you 2 auditions. I was like, oh, okay, great, awesome. And this was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then when I arrived, I also got one from my commercial agent. So I had 3 auditions due by 11 a.m. today
Oh,
at,
wow.
in Malibu. And,
Whoa.
yeah, so it was quite a night. And then because I'm friends with one of the casting directors, I think wisely said, you know, if you need anything else, let me know. You know, essentially like I you know, I mean, I didn't say this, but I just want to get the job. So, you know, like whatever it takes. So, of course, at 10 o'clock, she sends me notes, and I had to, luckily, I had one take of something that she wanted, but then I had to redo another take. And so that's why I was running around this morning too. So,
Oh,
you were not alone, my friend. But at least I know what I sent in is, you know,
good.
I felt confident about it. So that's good.
Awesome.
How are
Well,
you?
keep us posted. Yeah, just like crazy also this morning. But yeah,
Sure.
yeah, keep us posted. Yeah.
I will. I will. Wouldn't that be magical if I heard something while we have it? I'll just come. I'll just interrupt everything and be like, "You guys."
Yeah, please do. All right, so I just like try to just bring some highlights. I'm working really fast and I'm not getting there, so I'm just gonna watch the whole thing and then I'll just build from there. So this is an example of why it's not a good idea to have a really dainty um, sketch, because you just never know. And then you'll have to prime the paper and also seal the charcoal. So anyhow, I'm just gonna leave it like this. So this could be my watch. Yeah, a few minutes before the first hour. That's all I could hope for, and then that's all I got. So I think that's good. So I still have the lines, and I'll be able to pull them out. But very important to do the wash, just because it primes and seals the paper. And in that sense, before I move on to the next stage or talk about the next stage, there are two schools of transitioning for painting. One of them is that some painters, they like to do the wash first and then they sketch. Um, I prefer to do the sketch first and then do the wash. Why? Because if I have a dry surface, I'm able to erase better. I'm able to smudge, modify, mold. So for me, it's a better way to build, arrange things on the format and the surface, and then doing the wash. But for some people, they just get the blank, the glare out first, and then you can still, even if you just do the wash, you can still use the charcoal and sketch, but it's not going to be as smooth. So anyhow, so that is my wash, and I'm going to start with the first notes. And do I need, yeah, I think I need the hack, and I don't have it. Oh yeah, I do have it. So Sarah Brochure and Amanda. So we discovered a way. I mean, this is early in the stage. I possibly wouldn't do it, but is this so good that I may just do it right now? And maybe you guys know this, but there's a way of, while using a photograph, there's a way of testing your colors when you make them. As we know, when we make colors on the palette, we may think that we have a shade or a value that matches, but you know, nothing is further from the truth. When we apply it or compare it, it's totally different. Color matching, and I could say this to this audience, if someone's watching us from the future, yeah, anyhow, so they could apply it as well, I guess. But color matching is part of painting. Sorry, that's that the truth comes out. So a lot of traditional painters spend a lot of time studying color. And it's something that we go over because there are so many things that go before that. And we never go in depth. And thankfully, when we do this amazing post-webinar tutorials, we have been able to really study color and value and um, learn a lot. But yeah, color matching is part of the strategy of moving a painting forward. And if you work off of a photograph, then there is an opportunity to do a better color matching than working from live. So with paper and stuff like that, we've been, we do like color checks around it or on the outside. You see it on easels and walls. You can do this with a smartphone also, but a good way to do color matching is, which I'm going to do right now. You get a clear sheet of plastic, and it just could be, this one needs to be, it's a little bit gross because I used it a lot, but anyhow, I don't have the clean one right now. It reflects a lot. But the idea is that you put something transparent on top of the photograph or the screen. You make that your color on the palette, and then you apply it on top. When you apply it on top, you're going to be able to find out if the value is similar and if the temperature is similar. And then you'll be able to do the corresponding manipulations on the painting. I'm just going to give you an example because I'm going to start with first notes, and I want to start exploring, let's say, and I'm going to use an old hairy brush. Let's say I start with the raw umber, which is very strong. I would never do that. But what I do is I'm just going to compare it. Look what's underneath and look what's on top. This is so far off. So this color needs to be processed. And this is the process of actually starting to make my own color palette. The color that we have on the palette is our raw material. But this is the process. I put a lot of gray, and it's already better. So in regards of value, this could be a good value. So I know that I have to mix it with gray. A good example, practical example, why gray is such a great tone. But it is a little bit too cold. So what I'll do is I'm just going to bring a little bit of the burnt sienna, a little bit of the burnt sienna. So I check the value first. I think this is a good value. You can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera because of the reflection, but this is a good value, but it's the wrong, I'm using the word wrong, you guys, the wrong temperature. So I just add a little bit more of the burnt sienna, and I think this is a better temperature, but it needs a little bit of blue because it's kind of like purpley. So I'm going to bring some of the blue in this and see what happens. This is something I need new colors. I'm going to bring my Ziplocs of reds, and I'll need them. And that's a good idea to bring them. And the best red that we've not discovered, but we discovered that it was the best red is alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson should be the staple red. If you ask us, it's not cadmium red. It's the alizarin crimson that should be on top. So I think I need a little bit of alizarin. Oh, come on. Come on, I think that is good. Let me just find a different place. So this is good. Why is this good? Because it allows me to actually the colors. Yeah, that's just perfect. And I could just use more gray. So it's the alizarin that does the trick. The little purplish. It makes it a little bit purplish. So it's not just bland. Oh, it's so good right now. So good. You can't even tell that I painted on top. All right. So I think I'm gonna give myself 50 points. All right, so now I broke down the color. It's a color that it's a dominant color on the skin. This is how we talked about it. Lois was interested in actually practicing darker skin notes. Um, and that's exactly what we did. And that's why I'm so excited about this. Why? Because um, this was a great opportunity to actually break down the main formula for the skin. When we talk about skin color, we have a tutorial, by the way, that breaks down how to make skin color. There are many paths in order to achieve the same result. You can just combine many kinds of paint and colors. There's not a single one. But what's important is that in every single skin color or featuring skin notes, there's a range and a spectrum that goes from dark skin to very light skin, regardless of the actual amount of melanin on the skin of the subject. It doesn't matter if the person is like super white or super black. There's always light skin tone and dark skin tone. So think skin notes not in regards of a formula, but more so in regards of a spectrum that perhaps has a base. It has like a base, like a makeup foundation base that could go darker and lighter, but it just depends on the subject, depends on the light. You're gonna have very pale skin regardless of who you paint, and very dark skin or dark skin regardless of who you paint. So this for me was so good because right now I know the trifecta of colors that I need to bring together in order to create a darker note with a little bit of warmth. Actually, it's a tetrafecta. I just pulled that word out of my that. All right, so darker to lighter. I'm just gonna go on the darker notes on the skin. The way I'm painting is by second note. I mean, I'm sorry. First notes. What are first notes? First notes, it's the next layer, and it's not a transitional layer. And what we do is we apply color blocks or color fields that feel very mosaic-like. We build opacity on the wash. We start delineating the position of the edges of our painting. It's not going to be a final position, but it's a way of bringing back the drawing aspect of that sketch that we lost with the wash. So don't focus on location, grow darker to lighter at this stage. When we move to second notes, then yes, focus on location. But if you focus on location right now, and by that I mean to just do one thing and finish it, there's so many problems that you're going to encounter. Time is going to run out and you're going to feel like you haven't done anything. And then who knows if you're going to have the stamina, the time, and the um, spark to continue the painting another day. So go by value. Go by value. Should have done with the Van Dyke Brown. I should have done the eyes. Whoa. And process the paint. It's never straight from the tube. It's never straight from the tube. It's always processed with some neutrals. We have to create our color palette. I mean, just kind of like tilt this and say, this is these are the raw materials that I'm using. I am starting to make my color palette for this painting. This is always the same. This is always different. So it's very important to go over this just because we feel like, you know, we have the colors and we have like a ton of tubes. So let's just squeeze everything and then kind of like color match. No, we're not using crayons. So we have to process the colors. And I'm using purposely I probably need to switch, but I'm not going to do it. The old hairy brush. it's too early to move to something pointier, in my opinion. I'm gonna just there's a lot of advantages in using bigger brushes than we would initially use. We try to jump to smaller brushes way too early. And what happens with that? The smaller the brush, the more position of drawing you're gonna have. You're gonna find yourself doing miniature work, and it's gonna drag the work. It's just gonna drag the session. It's gonna feel tired. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Chunks. Think chunks, color blocking, color fields, mosaic work. This is not a preliminary layer. It's not a foundational layer, but it's still pretty basic. Darker to lighter. I now understand the formula that I'm using. Alizarin crimson possibly could be a good color to have if you have it for any of you guys if you're doing the portrait. We used to think of these colors, alizarin crimson, as really not. I don't know. Because red, it's not a, but they're so important. This one, like Prussian blue, for example, is really fancy. But the more we've been painting, the more we realize that they're really important colors. Doing chunks, color fields. Think, I wouldn't say cubism, but kind of. Deconstruct. See, just like one piece at a time. I'm just working not by location. Try not to stretch your painting too much, your paint too much by adding medium. Sometimes we feel like we have the right value. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's a little bit too dark.
Julio, Amanda's asking if I don't have alizarin crimson, can I mix?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
And in fact,
red.
Yeah, you can. And oh my gosh, I wish I had the phone separated from where I have it right now, because I use an app that actually tells me what's the ratio of primary colors in order to make these fancy colors. And that would be the best way to explain it. But just know that any of these Prussian blue, alizarin, or whatever color can be made with other pigments. Absolutely. I don't know how I would make this. I would possibly, there's blue in it. So I'm just trying to.
Saying quinacridone violet plus
Yes.
red, perhaps?
Yes, that's it. If you have a quinacridone, you're halfway there. Yes. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, quinacridone is halfway there. And then maybe red, and alizarin crimson, it's a dark red. So you may just use the cadmium and quinacridone and not be dark enough. So maybe you'll have to use either burnt sienna or even a dark tone, because it's a deep color. Yeah, just yeah, give it a try. Yeah. Yeah, Van Dyke. If you have Van Dyke Brown, then that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So the bottom line is that we can, using I would say not more than 4 colors, sort of like primary-ish colors, we can create any of these fancy tones. Theoretically, we can. And actually, Jen, I'm gonna put you, I know that you have a lot of things, but I'm gonna do something weird with this. Let me just remove the, oh, never mind. No, you can. I'm just gonna tell the app that I'm using. It's like $7. So it's called Real Paint.
Okay.
And I think there's a free version. But what it does, you just upload any image, and then you upload the brand of paint, It's really helpful. And then what it does, it just breaks down the formula. Um, I just love it. I think it's really great. $7 though, but yeah, that's the app, Real Paint, all together. Um,
Okay, I'll put it in the
yeah,
photos and in the notes. Cool.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been using it, and it's really helpful. Whoever designed it, it's worth the price if you ask me. And again, what you do is um, you upload an image. There's a color picker. You can do a lot of things with pixelation and stuff. It's really nice. And then on the settings, there's a long list of brands of acrylic, watercolor, and oil. And they have Gamblin. So actually, because as we know, every manufacturer may label colors differently. So it's really hard to find an app that gives you a formula, but then you have paint and it just doesn't work. But with this, actually, they do a good job. And then they give you different options, different paths to make that color. Based on the parameters that you would give, like for example, 2 colors or 3 colors. And they give you the ratio, they give you the amount in grams, in milligrams, whatever you want to. But what I like to do is these sort of like fancy colors. When we do color studies on Mondays and Tuesdays, we invert colors and then find colors that are not on our uh, paint box. So I find ways to create them, and it works. It just works. I decided to take that much time to do that, but I think it's a helpful as a painter. It's a help. I recommend it. So I'm doing first notes, and this is gonna take me a little while, and that's okay. And I'm just trying to approach this in a very mosaic-like. And again, I define first notes as a stage in which I build opacity on the wash, or the technically called staining. I work by value, not by location. So I should possibly start working on the hair, which I haven't. Um, Process the paint. Never just put the paint out of the tube right straight on the painting. Also, you should know, we should all know that we learn of this very basic categorization of blending, which I find extremely helpful. There's a painter, I forgot his name, but he categorizes blending in 2 main categories. Sorry for the redundance. One is when the blending happens on the palette, and the other one is when the blending happens on the painting. And as silly as this sounds, it just makes sense, because sometimes what we do it unconsciously, and we don't go over it. But sometimes we make paint on the palette, and then we just apply it on the uh, painting surface, and we keep blending. So if we are aware that there is a difference between blending on the palette and blending on the surface, we will understand where or how far we want to go with the blending. So that distinction allowed me to do a couple of things. Be a little bit more specific when I blend on the palette in order to get more of a color that has the value and the temperature that I want. So I'm a little bit more specific, meaning calibrating that color a little bit further. So I don't have to leave the blending to chance when I have it on the surface, and then I just make all these weird things to try to match it and just bring it down, or something strange that we all do. So there's going to be blending on the painting for sure. But if we are aware that that happens, and we can restrain and make sure that we don't go down this path of creating mud. I just thought it was a really brilliant, not brilliant, but helpful practical, really from a painter's point of view, approach to um, categorizing blending. So in this stage, I try not to do blending on the surface. All my blending is happening on the palette. So this could be a good way to also expand the definition of first notes when the blending does not happen on the surface, but it does happen on the palette. Even though the darker areas on my painting are not full black. I'm not going to use the gimmicky thing, my painting hack here, but I could. There's no alizarin crimson. Amanda, you are ordering that color like when this ends. I'm just joking with you. Or maybe you have it and something. I mean, I can't believe you don't have it. I'm just being so mean to you right now. You can tell me later. But yeah, it's a great red. If you guys don't have it, it's a great red. It's a great red. Well, you have the quinacridone, so yeah, so you're good. All right, so yeah, I have a lot of surfaces, so I'm not saying all right and then getting off the hook. There's some light ecru right there. Let me just bring it. I'm so happy right now. So first notes, we're painting. This is good. We're focused. And I'm happy because I have a large portrait. So that makes me really happy. It's hard to make or paint faces when the focus is portraiture and you have a tiny space for the facial features. Then we struggle unnecessarily. So it's nice to have this larger image. As you notice, I'm not using the big brush. I probably should use the big brush, but I like to create this kind of like hatched texture. And that's why this old and hairy brush works. Switching back from more neutral texture of the hair to a little bit warmer on the puddles that I already I'm building slowly on my palette. I am slowly building my color palette. Color palettes are not, and you probably have seen this really boring and typical. The other day I tried to just get onto a podcast. You know, I guess everyone's like not everyone, but listening to a podcast right now. I love it. It's just so good. But anyhow, there are not many podcasts about painting, I have to say, or really practical. I don't know. There's one from a very cheesy publication. I shouldn't say that because maybe one of you are in the board of that organization, but it's like it's a plein air podcast, one of the most famous magazines, plein air magazines. And they have a podcast and yeah, it's awful and boring. I don't know why you said that. Why did I say? Oh yes, I know. Sorry, I know. I'm backtracking to the origin. So you've probably seen a lot of like boxes of painters outside or painting outside. And one of the things that you'll realize if you've ever seen it like on any video, film, or whatever, it's that they don't have too many colors. It's mostly a bucket load of primary colors. And the reason is because you can, you can make all the colors from the primaries. Yeah, but you still, yes, I know exactly why I was saying that. Sometimes I drift, but then luckily I'm able to backtrack and find the reason why I wanted to say something. And wait, I'm just gonna wait. It's the fact that, yeah, we have to process the color. Right? That's the bottom line. We have to process the paint. So it doesn't matter if you use 2 tubes or 3 or 4 or 17, we have to we have to process the paint. We have to process the color. I think that's what I was going to go for. So I'm slowly building my color palette right now. It's not that I have it right away. What I have right away is the primary or the raw material. So just remember, try to avoid to blend too much on the painting surface at this stage. And already this is just going to take a little bit longer, but that's okay. This is all very good information if you ask me. So I don't mind taking a little bit more time doing this. All right, and I'm just gonna leave the jacket for now because I feel I need to I haven't brought any white yet, any white. I would be worried if at this stage my paint would have a lot of white in it. It's just gonna be a little bit trickier to manipulate later. I should probably, at this stage, I would have probably used the painting hack, the plastic, a little bit more often for fun, just to match the color. But I'm not, because I want to go a little faster and see if I can catch up with a decent first notes at the end of this session. I noticed myself that I'm putting too much medium already because I feel too lazy to make more paint, or too afraid or too insecure. And I'm trying to stretch whatever I have on the palette. And that's not good. That's not good. So just going back to the drawing board and bringing more paint, bringing more paint. I know the drill. I know the trifecta plus one. So I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it. Darker, remember, darker. So darker to lighter, not by location. I just try to stick to that strategy because the biggest issue with painting in general is that we deviate very immediately from a planned strategy, and then we find ourselves lost and we don't know why we're lost. And if only we would have stuck to whatever strategy we had envisioned, then we would not be as lost. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm just trying to, then that's the reason that I'm repeating this so frequently. First notes, just blend on the palette, not the painting surface. Color fields, work by value, not by location. I'm trying not to get also intimidated by the look of things. So I don't care if this looks really rudimentary. It's okay. I'm not done yet. So how can I expect this to look something if I'm not done with it yet? I also make sure that the ghost of overworking doesn't come too soon. There's a tendency of like, oh, this is looking like an eye. Let's just add more detail to it. And I try to refrain myself from going there. Okay, so I think at this stage, I'm still working on second notes, but I'm gonna bring back my painting hack because in anticipation of knowing that the mouth is just the hardest part of the whole I want to get a color for the mouth, because why do I want to make myself suffer right now with that color, and I'm not finding out if it's too red, which is usually what we do. We make the skin of the lips a little bit too red. So I'm putting the painting hack, and I'm gonna create a color, and I may need some cadmium red for this. I know I won't need a lot, but I just want to find out the difference because she's wearing lipstick. So this is not the natural color of the lips. And it's pretty much the same everywhere. At least at this stage, I just want to find out. And so if I put the quinacridone, you are probably not going to see it, but it's way too red. So this needs to be brought down. And I'm going to bring some of the pink. It's I mean, I'm sorry, the alizarin crimson or quinacridones are synthetic. So they're going to take over the pigment like crazy. So this is a little bit better. It needs a little bit of blue, and it's a little bit of blue to temper it. I need to temper that red a little bit. What do we think? In regards to value could be okay, but I think the temperature, I just may add a tiny bit of gray. There's this light on the image that because of the backlight, the colors are really bleached or rather blanched. So I just feel I have to be careful with that and make sure that I paint the light by painting how the light reflects on color. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, so I think I got it. There's a little bit more of a purple tone. I didn't get it, so I think I'm just gonna bring the alizarin and maybe a tiny bit of the Payne's gray. The Payne's gray being the cool black, it would darken this mix and it would just bring more of that purple third note. A little bit more of the Payne's gray. Oh, I just put too much. All right, I just put way much, but let's see what happens. Yeah, it's too dark. All right, so I'm gonna try to make it lighter by bringing some of the colors that I had before. The rose and the blue. And let me see. No, it needs more red. So I just keep moving the needle, and I don't hesitate spending time with this because I know that once I have an approximate formula, oh, I think I get it really close. I'm getting really close, you guys. I'm getting really close. I know that I will. Yeah, a little bit darker. I'm just gonna bring again. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it like that. So I'm glad I did this. And so let's see. I'm just gonna bring the darker version of this and see what happens. Sorry guys. So let me just bring the darker version of this. Well, it's not super dark. So I'm gonna bring some light tones first. I think so. Some light tones. And then I'll just bring some darker red. Let me see. Yeah, at least for now, I'll just bring this color. All right, and then there's much darker, and I think this is a warm black. So I'm just gonna pixel it, and I just started blending on the paper, and even the paper is protesting. So I just need to learn to differentiate between blending on the paper or blending on the palette. Okay, I think that's better. I think that's better. All right, so I'm just gonna bring a little bit, I'm gonna use non-conforming strokes because I don't want this to be too specific. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I have a long way to go, but I'm okay. about what I did studying the color. So I think that's just going to take me a while, and I don't want to rush it. At least I just want to put the first notes there. And then after that, I'll just be able to make variations. So let's just kind of like call it a day in that sense here on the lips. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's like, it just looks like it looks what it looks, and that's fine. It looks what it looks. Let me just continue with the rest of the skin tone. My palette right now, it's starting to expand. So if you notice, I have some of the skin tones concentrated here. I have some of the hair and background tones concentrated here. Some of the lip notes concentrated here. So this is starting to become my color palette right now. Um, so, oopsie. Here we go. Wait, this is a little twisted. Being a little OCD right now. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm just gonna remove these things from here and then continue. I need to put a little bit more paint before I move to second notes, and I'm just gonna anticipate right now that possibly for the remainder of this session, sometimes I'm very specific. We got really spoiled with still lifes in the past few weeks, like really breaking it down and finding very specific strategies, 10 minutes for this, 5 minutes for that. But with this, I feel like I'm anticipating the strategy will be completely different. I think I'll be lucky if I finish the first notes on this session. So that's I'm gonna look for that and see how far I can get with first notes. I think that's a realistic um, goal, and I'm gonna move um, towards it accordingly. All right, so here we go. So, and again, it's gonna be all about mosaic-like. I'm gonna start bringing some white and some gray also, because I want to start building some of the highlights. Some of the highlights, I think, especially on the nose, because that's just going to give me a little bit of a sense. I'm using still the medium brush. I'm not going to move to, with titanium white, be careful, especially you guys that are more experienced. Titanium white can really white out things in your portrait and look so stark that they're going to lose that sense of um, um, atmospheric light. So yeah, be careful with the sclera. Be careful with highlights that are too potent. Um, so that's why the zinc white is. I'm not going to use the zinc white right now because it's great for blending for later. But I think for now, this could be a good. Yeah, I'm just definitely processing, process. As I mentioned with example of the awful podcasts. I don't know, the podcasts were so boring and it's not really helpful. But yeah, it just brings memories of um, planner painters using very limited palettes outside, which makes total sense. I'm using more of a tinting titanium white because the choker seems to be sparkly. So that's going to have more concentration. I just wanted that white on the nose because right now I just could bring some variations of the skin tones that I have. some variations. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense right now on the nose. I'm doing a little bit of blending on the paper, and I should not do that. I should continue with application. Okay, here we go. This is the darker area. This is darker as well. Let me just apply these stones right here. Okay, and then a little bit lighter with some ecru perhaps. Try to create color palettes or color samples on your palette in different locations. If you abuse one location by constantly changing and adding and morphing it to something else, you're gonna lose a sense of the color history. I'm just gonna create some dizziness right now, but I'm doing a lighter version for the forehead, but I try to keep my mixtures in different spots because I could easily turn this into a big puddle and then start like stirring. Every time I need a color, I just try to stir that porridge of paint and see if I can decant it towards one color or the other. And the problem with that is that we lose the opportunity of finding out our color history, finding out the variations of tones, grouping color by the um, surface, the lips, the forehead, the hair. So it's good for many reasons if you try to create color samples on your palette every time you create a new color. Um, it's not easy. It's not because it's difficult. It's because we tend to simplify things too much when we make color. And we have one puddle, and we keep putting medium to stretch the color, and it keeps growing, and it becomes muddier and muddier, and yeah, it's a dead end. So I'm trying to bring some tones over what I had. This is okay. And then I'm just gonna work on the highlights right now. It's a little bit more of that. I need to make more paint. I have a lot of a big surface, so I just need to. Here we go. Because it's very tempting to just use medium and keep the fluid flowing, but that medium may not have enough paint. All right, so this was this part of the, yeah, it was part of the forehead. So I'm gonna use this as a highlight right here. What happened here? This, I need to, the drawing also, I mean, I'm not even going to mention this, but the drawing component, I just feel I just lost the drawing a little bit because not only we're building, but we're also manipulating, adjusting, making changes. I'm gonna bring the choker. The choker needs to be a little bit pushed to the left. I mean, to the right. Okay, so I think that's okay. Oh my gosh, so many things I need to change. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna bring my greens. I love that bomber jacket. Oh, okay. Okay, so I think that is sap green mixed with tons of gray. I'm just gonna take a guess. I just have my Ziploc of greens. So sap green, and I'm just gonna paint on top. Yeah, I think so. A little bit more. has a little bit more yellow, so I'll bring the yellow ochre. Yeah, that's why this is important. Uh, Here, perfect. So the yellow ochre was the key. If you don't process the color enough, then it's just going to look very segregated and really basic. I know that I've used this word a few times today, but uh, one of the elements of a painting that really pushes it to the next level, in my opinion, in a traditional sense, is when the nuances, variations, and variety of hues on a painting really go beyond what comes out of a tube. Sometimes we don't make enough effort because there's a lot going on. I'm not just going to blame it on us, but we don't make enough effort to make those variations. And it just ends up looking very amateurish looking. It's just not pushed forward enough. Um, so breaking it down, analyzing, doing tests, you'll find that it's just going to give you that kick, or it's just going to um, raise the profile of your usage of color, your use of color. So yeah, it's not just out of the tube. Process the paint, process. It's never just out of the tube or mixed with a couple more stuff. There's always something in the mix that makes it really rich and interesting. I was again looking back or mentioning the Baroque period, and also a painting that we discovered last week or this past week, this past tutorial. Um, Painters in the 1600s and 1700s, they didn't have quinacridones or Prussian blues or anything like that. Those were synthetic colors that were invented in the 1800s and later, late 1800s. They just had browns. Sometimes they didn't even have blues, but they had browns and reds, and that's it. And yet you see those paintings and talk about processing the colors. It's just so rich. So I think that's another reason why sticking to a Zorn palette, Dina, you're doing the right thing. It's good. Sort of like it forces you or encourages you to really be creative with the combination and ratio of colors. I'm just doing the color on the collar. Van Dyke brown and some gray. And the painting, yeah, the Zurbaran painting. And also some of those painters, like for example, we're talking about the Baroque in Naples, they were dirt poor. So they didn't have lapis uh, pigment to make blues. Some of the commissions, the priests and the Catholic Church, they did provide the, the expensive stuff. They had the money, but the painters themselves didn't have a ton of pigments. Some of them. All right, so I think this, I need to do a few more notes here. So I'm still on first notes. Let me just go back to my color history, and I know where the color of the skin is. And I'm just gonna do a couple of mixtures right here because I think that's gonna help me. And if I am able to just block out those areas, it's a little bit too pigmented. And again, the quality of this image, it's just like um, this to me, it's very pigmented. This is like a really rich color, and it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that that pigmented. And we put emphasis on likeness, but what about the light in the scene? It's as important. We just forget that's part, because it's not visible. We forget that that's uh, part of the equation. And we have learned each and every time we paint that not only it's part of the equation, it's really important, and it tricks us because it's not visible. I'll be able to do highs and lows later. I'm gonna try not to get too caught up with bone structure right now and sheen and matte. So I'm just gonna stop. And yeah, I think that's okay. And that's okay. The mouth is giving me a lot of problems, but I'm not gonna do much about it. All right, so I'm just gonna keep it here in regards to first notes. This usually takes me not more than 10 minutes or so, but it took me almost the whole time. So we still have 15 minutes. It's a lot. So, and again, I'm just gonna end the recording 5 minutes after the second hour, just because we started a little bit late. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to talk about second notes, and at least I'm going to start explaining, and possibly the best thing that I could do is just give the directives, the paths, the premise, and the criteria that would allow us to continue this painting after the session. And second notes are uh, the most important, and also the ones that take the most time. So I'm using still a medium brush, but a little bit tighter, not as open as before. I just have a couple. I'm just gonna bring a couple a little bit tighter. One is round, the other one it's flat, but with round um, toes. We learned that the bristles have three different components: the toes, the heels, and the belly. So the most important part, I would say, it's the toes of the brush. So this one has round toes. It's not flat. And second notes is when you built on the first notes that we had, just kind of like pixelated and built opacity. And what you do is you create highs and lows within one area of the first notes. So it's a layer that works better by location rather than by value. So I would just concentrate on the eyes, for example. And then what I would do is within the eyes, I would just I would work darker to lighter, darker nodes where I would see them, and then lighter nodes. So I create more variations within the same place. I talked about first notes being more like mosaic-like. Second notes are more pixelated. I wouldn't say like super blendy, but pixelated. In regards to the blending, where it's happening, there's a tendency of sharing the same amount of time blending on the palette, but also blending on the surface. So right now we can switch gears a little bit and start blending a little bit more on the surface as we apply, but we just have to be a little bit careful. So I use less medium so I can start building more body and coverage and opacity. And I also make sure that I give myself an opportunity to bring back the drawing and adjust it or manipulate it accordingly. So I always have that open. The drawing, it's not a stage that I can close early in the painting and then just concentrate on embellishing. The drawing always is paired with in every brushstroke. So until the final one. So I always have to consider it. All right, I'm not gonna use, should I use, it would be too distracting to use the Paintac constantly. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna guesstimate the kind of black that I'm gonna get. my brush stroke is also pixelated, shorter strokes and non-conforming. In other words, I'm doing the eyelashes. I'm not going to do or follow the eye line. I just try to break it up a little bit so I don't bring that linear aspect again. So there is definitely there's a distinction or a difference with the line. So I'm just going to bring more of the skin tone from the other side. Okay, I think that's good. And then I'll just work on the bottom. So in my mind, or the way that I apply paint right now, it's um, multitasking. I not only try to bring detail, but I try to make sure that the drawing component is there. So I think because I feel insecure about my work right now. I feel in a perfect scenario, I would do a few strokes here, and then I would just go to the other eye. When you work with faces, always try to share or split up the time between both sides, because there's a tendency of trying to make one thing perfect because we think that's gonna make us feel off the hook, and then that's it. We just fall for the trap, because then we develop one thing too much, the other one drifts away. We're never going to be able to match the second half, whether it's an eye or a nostril, with the first one. It's never going to happen because we spend so much time and effort that the other eye is just going to suffer. So always split your forces. And it's not easy because we have the instinct of making sure that we close a chapter before moving forward. And also we have this insecurity that tells us this eye needs to be finished and look good. Anyhow, so all that by just saying that I'm not going to do it. And what I'll do instead is I just want to build a little bit more uh, variations. And the reason why I said that, it's because I want to, and this is a total cheap excuse, but I want to show you what second notes actually mean. Just building, what does it mean building variations? So what I'm doing is just trying to create highs and lows. Notice that if you have any white underneath, if you have any white paint, it's just going to give you problems. You're not going to be able to make it darker as easily. So I'm just trying to bring highs and lows and trying to build this sort of like surface of the eye so it doesn't look flat, bringing some dark, so darker notes, squinting my eyes, bringing some light on top under the eyebrow. So this is what I mean by moving to second notes. I barely use any medium. I am working with the paints that I have on the palette already. I'm blending on the paper or on the painting surface. So I'm trying to carve out literally, I mean, I would say literally, that doesn't apply here, but carve out some illusion of form by doing highlights and shadows and concentrating. And I need to bring some off-white on the sclera. It's not, because it looks so odd right now. This white, it's a huge trumpet. It's just sticks out too much. I need to tone it down. I need to tone it down with some gray. Yeah, that's it. I need to tone it down big time, big time. And even the other side. Working on also the shape of the iris. I need to bring it back. It's a little bit darker underneath the iris. I'm going to try to see if I can spread some darker paint, and then at the same time some also darker paint on top. So second notes, that's the work that I'm doing on second notes on this location alone, on this location alone. And so when I move to second notes, I do, yeah, see, it's easier to put lighter notes on top. Be careful with titanium. It's just going to create white out effects. Try to bring some highlights on top of the eye so it doesn't feel flat. Um, and again, just bringing those variations, just bringing those variations. All right, so yeah, this eye, it's coming along. It's just coming along. It's just coming along. If you want to blend, I mean, that would be now, you can use like an older brush um, and then very gently buff the edges. You don't need to get any of those fancy fan brushes. So you could, if you want to soften that. I mean, I don't know. I like the scratchiness of my brush stroke. So maybe this is just too embellished, too polished, and just try to give myself an excuse to feel comfortable. And that's why I'm embellishing my brush stroke. I shouldn't do it. It's overworking it. But that's an idea of how a second note would develop. Let me just work on the eyebrow a little bit more with not much work. What I did was um, I worked on a location with some variations. The eyebrow is very important, very important. The tail, how it ends, the middle of the eyebrow, how high it may get. There's a rhythm on the structure of the eyebrow. Okay, so I'm just like, I'm not worried about, I think that's good. I think that's okay. The mouth, I'm gonna leave the mouth for Wednesday, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm just trying to blend a little bit, and I'm blending now on the painting. I need to blend the nose a tad, but I need to go to the other eye. So I probably did too much work on this eye, and it's just going to be a little bit harder to do the other eye, but I'm just going to give myself a couple more minutes. And I'm going to explain also what's going to happen. So we'll just work on this for a couple more minutes and try to bring the same, I'm going to try to bring the same idea of working by location, darker to lighter. Here we go. The sclera. So let me just use the brush. This brush, I need to blend this, so it's a little bit too harsh. Maybe I don't need to overwork this as much as the other eye, but I'm trying to bring variations of the paint. I'm still not using the zinc white yet. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll bring the skin tone for the eye underneath. I need to work on the shape. So what's going to happen, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We work our butts off on this painting. Portraits, they're not more difficult. It just require much more focus. And also we got rusty with a couple of still lifes, and I forgot what I did before, but yeah, when you don't do portraits very often, yeah, that's what happens. Just you become rusty a little bit in just a few weeks. So this is very good. I'm gonna bring some darker notes on the eye line here, but yeah, and then so slowly this, I mean, you shouldn't do this because this is not the way to assess a painting, but I'm just trying to build some correlation and second values. This mouth, it's a big, This mouth needs an afternoon. My gosh. So I'm gonna pause. And I'm gonna just express or say that the stage that I finished is barely first notes, and I'm barely initiating second notes. So definitely this will be a work in progress. I will work on it if I can today a little bit more, because I know that in another session and just another one, I won't have enough time, especially because it's a fairly big portrait and I really want to spend some time on it. We're going to take a 10-minute break. So it's 1:05, 10 minutes. Please, number one, stretch, bend down, stretch your, especially the shoulders. Having the paint or the arm up for a while really puts a lot of tension on the shoulder. So stretch, rotate your shoulders, drink water. Number two, I forget to hydrate. Use the restroom. This is like my first grade teacher experience. And also take a picture of the work and upload it, because when we get back at 1:15, we're going to dedicate 45 minutes just until the next full hour, and whoever is available will just give feedback, pointers. They're going to be helpful for everyone else, not just for the person. So we encourage you to stick around if you can. If you cannot, it's like 3 hours, so it's a long time. But if you can, yeah, stick around, upload your painting. We'll go over details. And also if you have any questions, anything like that. So 1:15, I'm going to pause this. We'll see you then. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have sound now. Some light. Hi, everyone. And we're back. And sorry, I just took another minute, but that's okay. I just made myself some tea, and we're ready for the critique session. I'm going to go ahead and share the video, the folder. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. This looks amazing, and you guys are incredible. And yes, so Hania, I think, I believe you're still there. So let me just do a refresh.
Does look like it.
Yeah. Jen, we haven't talked today. Oh my gosh, I just feel
We had a lot to do. I was taking like crazy. Notes are ready, you guys. So just click on the link.
Awesome. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So you have the equal sign. And then Hania, I think this was the only image, right? This is just amazing. Yeah. I would say, and I forgot which one, or maybe you just did you do your own?
It's the first one you put on.
You mean the black and white?
Yeah.
Okay, I love that image, Hania. It's just yeah, and I can give you. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna upload the color one if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Actually, I just liked she looked so spiritual and very gorgeous lines.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I should have put the color one, but yeah, I'll just bring that. I'll I'll upload it and I'll let you know.
That'd be cool. That'd be lovely. Yeah. And I had a board which had already had grey on it, and I just used some pastels just to do the initial drawing first, and then I waited for your critique.
Beautiful. Yeah, and thank you. First of all, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, it's great. It's absolutely great. Wonderful.
You're the best. But let me just do a quick analysis really quickly. First thing, I always mention compositionally, I think this looks good. I like that it's more of a close-up, that you cut out some of the background and elements so you can really focus on the expression of the face. And I like the way it's proportioned with the rest of the format that you use. So I like that. The orientation is really nice as well. It's not facing forward. So I think that is working. And in regards of what I look at on a facial expression or feature, the first thing that comes to mind is the organization of the facial features, the distance between the eyes, and also the distance between the bottom of the nose and the mouth. And I think you did a great job in harmoniously drafting them and mapping them in a place that it feels nice and well integrated. So the thing about this is that the eyes, her eyes are closed. So I just can't wait to find out how you're gonna move the painting forward in regards of value. I'll give you the color one, but in regards of value, there's a lot that could be done to build. And I know that this is initial and it's only outlines and drafting, and there's so much more that you're gonna do. But yeah, value will be key. And also in regards of the light direction, I'm sorry. So she's in the entire image. And you know what? If you bear with me 1 second, because I'm going to put the entire image. Oh, you have the entire image, but I'm just going to put the actual color image if I have it. Yeah, let me see if I have it. So you can see it's beautiful. The light's beautiful. The colors are beautiful. And I just don't have it. Oh, yeah, I have. It's really nice. Let me see if I can, if it loads up. I'm gonna refresh.
If you can't, then I can wait for
oh no, it's okay.
tomorrow.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's because you really love it. It's really beautiful. Let me see if it. Yeah, now it's uploading. Because that's gonna give you a sense, because she's holding the candle, and the light of the candle is also very important.
Okay.
So that's just gonna give you also a sense of the
direction. I see it. Yeah, fabulous. Oh wow. Yeah.
So look at the candle. I mean, it's not going to be on your painting, but the way the light, it's not just highlights the warmth and how it hits different points on the face, on the side of the nose. So that's just going to be also. I also love the fact, very important, that at least on the image, but there's not a clear distinction or cut, especially on the hairline on the top of her hair, that separates hair from skin. Only you can see it on the cheekbone.
Yeah, it blends so well. It's just lovely. It's just a very gentle, serene atmosphere. It's quite it's very spiritual as well. I liked it in the black and white as well, but this is absolutely gorgeous. This one.
Right.
I might even have a bash at it.
No. But yeah, it's a good spot. You always you work right in that sense. You take your time, and this is your life. This is your profession, your life. This is
I love it. Yeah,
you're a painter. So that's why it's good to see how you really break it down the way you do.
It's just lovely being here and managed to get here again and paint with you guys. It's lovely.
Thank you. How cold is it there now?
It's miserable.
Oh.
But it could be worse.
But it hasn't snowed yet, right?
No, God, no. I don't. No, it's very very damp and grey, and we're not used to it because we're normally in your side of the pond. We're normally in LA and California and driving around and sailing in warmer climates, But this virus has got a lot to answer for.
I know.
No worries, but we're enjoying. At least Chloe and I are sort of bumping into each other in the walking whenever possible. We're on a lockdown for a month. This is it's been not good. Another one. It's been very serious here.
Right. Well.
And same with you guys. It's been it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, it's Christmas soon, so we're going to enjoy.
Yeah. Well, we have to do something remotely together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait for you guys to come over here and paint over here again.
Yes, next year.
Wonderful. Yeah.
You don't care. Yeah. We're gonna put that vaccine on, and Jen and I are just gonna fly. I don't care.
Oh well, just swim across.
Yeah. Thanks, Hania.
Cool. Thank you.
So thank you guys. I'm just gonna continue, and I see I did a new refresh to see. Okay, so This is, hold on one second. Hold on, this shouldn't happen right now. Sorry guys, sorry. I have the, okay. I apologize. Oh, and I did, okay. Am I recording, Jen?
Yeah, you're recording.
Okay, thanks.
And that's Sarah Brochures.
Oh, Sarah, yay. Are you here? And, oops, sorry. What's going on? Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. It's so nice
I have
to,
yes, it's so good to be back. I have a painting I could upload, but I was just about to do that, and then I have to feed the baby so I can watch you guys while I feed the baby.
okay, so you want us to, do you want us to do it later? A little bit later?
Just give me 2 minutes or
Yeah,
two
yeah,
or
yeah.
3 minutes, and I'll upload it, and then I'll be watching, but
Okay.
not painting anymore.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm just gonna move to, oh yes, that's the apps. Thank you, Jen. And yeah, so you just pick, yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's really good. What can I say? What's going on? Oh my gosh, who's this? It's just like I'm being assigned. Okay, sorry guys. All right, so thank you. And I'm just gonna move, oh, Lois, that's just wonderful. It's just so great, so expressive. I just love the color palette that you chose. So good. Thanks, Lois. I think, did you upload anything? Yeah, no, so that's it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm assuming you're here. If you're not, that's okay. But I just want to put this. I love this image. This is really great. So,
Lois is not here.
okay. All right. So I'm just gonna.
I just uploaded Amanda's.
Okay. Okay, that's good. And Amanda, you chose a different image reference. Did you choose a different image reference, Amanda? I just don't.
If she did, no, it's sorry. Go back up, Julio. Go back up. It's keep going. It's that one.
This?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. All right. So, okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, okay, good. Excellent. Yeah, fantastic. Oops. So let me just bring it down. Great job. I love the states that you have it at. All right, yeah, great color palette, by the way. Great color palette. I just love how you started building those first nodes, not non-blended pixelated first nodes. I think that's great. But what's important is, let's just go by composition first and orientation of the face, because that's before we talk about color. So for me, I can see the edge. Okay, that's good. It's like really, I know that the image is really close. Excellent. The fact that you just left a little bit more space. Yeah, I should have probably mentioned that what we're doing today has been done by other artists in different ways. And I remember seeing something from the 2019 victims of violence. And then someone actually, they did drawing and watercolor, I believe, but they were able to, center or arrange or compose the images so they had enough space around. So they recreated parts of the photograph that were not present. So I'm glad that you just gave that little bit of space so it's not on the nosebleed or kind of like on the edge. I think that's very good. This is like, is it landscape, right? Orientation?
Yes.
Very good.
No, I didn't do it right on because I was getting a glare.
Oh, okay.
So I tilted it a little bit, the photo for you.
Right. Yeah, no, I can see the lines. So I think that's good. And in regards of composition wise, it just looks amazing. And I love the fact that you actually center it. There's something really right now very monk-like, and the fact that you have this movement that cascades on the left. and then you have this space that's contained or on the right. So there's a nice counterbalance in regards of the cascading and then the neck going the other way. So it goes really well with the background, because I know that the image has more space on the right, but I think you did a fantastic job in bringing that.
So I take off the shirt because I got paint all over it.
That wasn't me.
Right.
I'm not taking off my shirt.
1 second, I gotta
But you can imagine I am.
take
Yeah,
my headphones out.
Maybe I will leave the what's on what we're looking at to the right. What you say is that put some of those blurry street lights far away, but make it blurry and very dark. And then I just love that there are stripes on the, the building behind her. So then that part has those stripes of, at an angle, and the other part has just a blur of, black, mostly black background, but a couple of blurred light. I think I'll put that in. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting just to try and go from the mosaic to the blending. I need the eyes to center me. I'm going to have to put some black in there and brown, and just get in there with the eyes, because I need them.
Right. No, I think so. And I
And
think
the nostril.
Yeah.
I just left out the definition of the nostrils because it was going to require, drawing in black, basically.
Right. No, I mean, the stage is like, I totally get where you are right now. And I'm looking at things that are mostly important at right now, rather than just like the blending. It's going to come and then it's just going to, but yeah, there's something really nice about the composition. Like, for example, the axis of the face has a tilt.
I hope I caught that, because you're absolutely right. That's what drew me to it in the first place. I've only realized now that you said it. Yep.
So there's also a really interesting composition in the fact that you have 3 axes here that work in such a dynamic way. You have the split, I mean, the hair parted in the middle. So you have one diagonal in one direction, that way. Then you have the axis of the head going in the opposite angle. And then you have the neck going again, it just breaks. So it creates a zigzagging line that is absolutely dynamic. And, to make things even more sort of like unbalanced, but expressive, you have the shoulders kind of like breaking that zigzag.
Yep. I fell in love with the bare shoulder that we can see. I was just like, oh my gosh, where it is low down and just that touch of skin in that lower corner. I just fell in love with that.
Yeah, compositionally, it's super dynamic, sophisticated. It's just going to give you so much, because that alone that you capture, it's such a strong sort of like base that then whatever you do on top of it, it's just gonna make it even better. But yeah, I just love so in that sense, I would say the most important thing here for me to consider, it's the light direction, because it's artificial light's a flash, and it creates a really dramatic contrast. So you did it, that's fine, never mind. Yeah, but just consider that and keep that as the ethos of the painting.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and then in regards of the
you can catch it on the ear. That catches the moment of flash as well.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
No, that harsh separation which you have, or distinction, that's something here that you can incorporate. And I also, you have an opportunity. I don't know how much I would consider that, because what's appealing about the image, in not only because of the composition, it's the color. So you have like different temperatures, the warmer of the hair, and then you have the blue. So and then the monochromatic has sort of like warmth on the skin. But then you have this that's really, it stands out. It's really beautiful.
I'm going to make it really, I mean, now I look at it, it's rainbow. That's the reason. It's got to be rainbow.
Yeah, well, it's just consider before you pull the trigger, because you have different options here. You
Mhm.
could go that path, but I just feel like it's going to take away from the expression of the face. You have something
Okay.
here that creatively you could take different directions. You could really
Yeah.
um, um, s- uh, build and create more color in the painting and texture, just bringing the accessories.
Mm.
And it's going to be a conceptual decision. It's not even
Yeah.
creative. Or
Mhm.
you can concentrate on the actual face and leave things a little bit less developed.
Okay. Yeah. That would be the challenge for me personally. That's my personal challenge. So I will take that to heart. I will. I mean, I still remember when I was a teenager and I was working just with pencil, and I was doing a drawing from a fairy book from Arthur Rackham, actually, a drawing which included fur, and it was wonderful. But I spent, I think, 2 hours on the dot and then the erase that would create the expression in the eye. I was like, nope, that's not it. Nope. Oh my gosh. Nope, nope, nope. And it was a matter of dots, to just change the expression.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. I just realized that one thing, Amanda.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see Sarah's name on the photograph, and I now connected with her sketch. She may
Oh,
have
she did. Yeah, she did it too. She chose this woman too.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to point that out. So we're just gonna have two different translations, and I just can't wait to see
Yeah.
how different they are and how you guys are gonna push it in different ways. But
Yeah. Thank you, Julio. Thank you.
thanks, Amanda. Great hearing your voice.
Yeah. Good to be here.
Thanks.
And speaking of that, oh yeah, there
Look, there's
she
another one.
is.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Perfect. Yeah. So I'm just gonna. I think I'm just gonna, Julie. I'm just gonna
oh,
bring your. Wow.
oh,
This is just so beautiful, Julie.
oh.
Thank you. I don't like it. Too much color.
What did you say?
I feel like it's just too much color, but that's what I've chose. I don't know
Yeah.
why I picked blue hair.
I have a couple of notes. I don't think. I mean, let me just bring the image. In fact, I would say, well, there is a lot of color in the photograph. I mean, I love the fact that you have a lot of neutrals, and then you have the accent color, and the accent color is blue. So I think you rightfully chose, and it's you use Prussian blue, right?
Yeah, low Prussian for the darks, and then what was the lighter blue? I can't remember which one I used. I used two different blues.
Okay, so I
Okay.
think let's just kind of like go compositionally. I think it's great. It's sort of like on frame, so there's enough space. So I just feel like that's not becoming too much of a noise. So I think that's fantastic. So for me, there are a couple of things. I like the color palette actually in regards of the way you build it. It's really good. It's your palette in the sense that you have a tendency, and please don't change that because it's you, to have more of a chromatic intensity in the colors that you apply. And I love that because you're able to, and you shouldn't compromise or move to any direction. I think that's very important that you keep. So what saves you here is the fact that you have two different temperatures that are really clear. You have the warmth and you have the coolness of the hair. So I think because of the strong pigmentation on the wig, which I think even conceptually is important, the rest doesn't look like it's uh, heavily pigmented. It just doesn't look like very strong. So it just feels really nice actually, because on the photograph, it just feels a little bit more diluted. So I'm glad that you brought some warmer tones on the face. But I do have my sort of like description of touch-ups would be more concentrated on drawing, and see how you may want to apply it or not, because it may just mean like structurally there are a lot of things that I would consider. Like, for example, there's something about the axis of
Mhm.
the head. There's the axis of the head. It sort of like coincides a little bit with the axis of the neck. And then you
Mhm.
have the shoulders having more of a counterbalance. So you have that angle, and then the shoulders counterbalancing it. So I feel like here it's a little bit more like straighter.
Yeah, I lost it. I don't know. I had started drawing it with more of the angle, and then I just lost it when I was painting. And I feel like it's too much to go and try to change
Yeah.
that.
No, I agree with that. So
I don't like it enough anyway. But I agree. That's her beauty, is that nice wide jowl with a big, big smile, and her head is sort of tilted back.
right.
And I-
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what you could do is, because, you know, one thing could be this, and then maybe on the shoulders, on the shoulders, you could, for example, break the balance between what you have, because
Mm.
keep the head like with this axis, but then break the balance between the shoulders. I feel like that you have room and it's much easier. So in that sense, you could somehow bring more predominance or importance to this shoulder on the left, and then on the right, resolve it maybe differently.
Okay.
So
yeah, that might work. Right, get rid of it there, because it really doesn't show in the.
I think there you could potentially have an opportunity to bring some sort of like different gesture or angle. So not everything fits within like facing
Right.
forward. So
Right on.
even with the background, so I can see that there is more of a triangular. Let me see if I can just draw here. But sometimes what I do is I look at how things feel like on the background. So you have more of this triangle right here, and it's something that you could bring on the
Mhm.
yeah, you did it, so never mind, I'm sorry.
No, but her head isn't correct. I mean, I just didn't get the right angle, it's her cockiness or something too, which I like
Right.
in
Yeah.
the photographs, and I don't
Sorry,
have
sorry.
anything.
sorry. And yeah, you could work on
I found it hard to do the portrait again, because I feel like I am out of practice.
yeah, no, me too, trust me. I mean, with the still lives, we were like la da da, and then
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, like portrait, bam.
Should I do something different? The background too? I can't decide. I started out with a gray, and then I went with an orange for a little while. I tried all kinds of stuff.
Right. No, I think the background, I love that there's this sort of like a warmer tone, but I would maybe just bring some of the colors that you have on the skin right here. And I would just harmonize them a tad, you know, just some of this tone. I would bring it outside. Or maybe make it even paler. So it's just sort of like becomes even more framing.
The yellow paler.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Door, so, okay. Yeah. So maybe go softer in the background.
Yeah, a little bit. And the only thing I would say in regards of it's kind of like drawing. I know that they're very close, the lips with the bottom of the nose, but I feel on the painting that it just feels a little bit too close. And it's perhaps because the face feels more upright, because on the image, on the painting, it almost feels like she is creating distance between the phone and her face. So there's a sense of like tilting back, and that's why the lips seem very close.
Right.
But if you notice the line between the lips, or that expression, it drops quite a bit. So the top lip may be close, but I would just bring the mouth a little bit lower.
Okay.
Either that, or maybe it's not even that. I think the nose could be a little bit shorter. So maybe it's not the mouth.
Yeah,
but,
the nose I had trouble with too. Yep.
So maybe a little bit higher, maybe the bottom of the nose, and then the mouth would be just perfect. It's not dramatic, but I feel like a little bit of separation. And I think it's possibly either the nostril, I would possibly push it up a little bit, and that shouldn't be too much. You could still maneuver, and that's if you, because that's what stands out the most to me in the entire painting. It's not the axis or anything, it's the closeness of the mouth and the nose.
And the nostrils are just too flared, it seems. So
No, I think that's okay. But, I mean, it's still sort of like early, but I would concentrate the highlight on the left side, for example, and just it's very blended. I think there's there could be a little bit more of a build, you know, the sheen on the nostril below this kind of like area. I think I would just bring more of a highlight and then frame it with a little bit darker. So I think the nose could have more of a formed or built before, you know. Yeah, you have it right. The expansion of the nostrils, I think it's great, but I would just contour. I think that would be the word. A little bit more parts of the nose.
right, I think you're right. Okay, great. I'll work on a bit more. I've got 3 paintings here I've got to work on. I'm
I
like,
know.
oh, I
They
want to.
keep piling up, Julie. I know.
I got to get there on Wednesdays, but I always have another commitment. But thank you for doing this. Was good today.
Yeah, I think Jen, we'll talk later, but I think we need to introduce like an evening session or something for studio time.
Yeah, totally.
Perhaps, you know, we'll send a survey, but because I feel like, you know, it would be good to work on work that we have in progress. I have a pile of work that I want to work on.
You do too. Good. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Julie. And Dina, I'm just gonna go to you. Oh, this is so beautiful. My gosh. Oh, so delightful.
Well, I don't, gosh, I'm not crazy about it because I got, yeah, because I want to, gotta make things a little bit more right. But yeah, I'm kind of on the path, but you know, I'm in that middle part where the middle stage where you just, you know, gotta push through it before you toss it over the cliff.
No, I think you have like a really good stage, actually. I mean, of course, if we compare, then there are more things that are coming up and blah, blah, blah. But I'm glad that I didn't look at the image. I just think like it's really lovely and soft and really well painted. I like the expression of the strokes, the color, the red. It's really beautiful. And the orientation of the face, and then the eyes are looking the other way. So there's this really beautiful tilted orientation, eyes looking at us. It's really, really, really beautiful. And so in regards of any elements that we would consider, I like the composition. I love that you cropped it. I think this is a dramatic crop, and then it just feels really intentional. And then it's combined with a nice balance between both sides of the figure. So I think that it doesn't become strange or off or interrupts anything. So all right, so in that sense, I think it's pretty good. But if you wanted to bring more variations of value and stuff like that, let's analyze, for example, the light direction, because I feel like it's artificial light, and then there's something that we could, that you could do, especially let's start with the hair and kind of like bring more variations on the hair that could help you elevate that idea of light direction, of texture. It's not like it needs it. It stands on its own, but it would elevate it a lot.
Yeah, it's true. There's more light coming on the right side.
Right.
And, yeah, you know, see, because now I see more things. So I'm gonna have to go back and it's always good, you know, once you take a picture too.
Yeah.
When you take a picture, you're able to see more things too. And
Right.
I kind of guesstimated on her head shape because of course the picture was cropped. So
right.
I can't. She's wearing like maybe a knit bonnet, a knit hat. You know, one thing that strikes me is all these women or transgender people. They're so young, and you know, it's just heartbreaking to paint them because you know they were like she was killed when she was participating in the protests in Oregon for that Tyrone, I think Tyrone Powell, was that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so she was stabbed, and it's like, they're just, nobody asks how they're born. You're born into this world, and if they feel different, they should be accepted for how they feel. And the whole premise of the site where you got the pictures from, and I read, read the bios. There's young men, too, that were
Yeah.
just, so there's men that don't even really necessarily dress like women, but they feel different, and they
Right.
act different, and they're
Right.
picked on, and it's so sad. So I'm glad more people are having some awareness, and this brings awareness too. So thank you for the theme.
Oh my gosh. I mean, thank you, Dina. Yeah, I think, it's always that thing about making it very political or being like in a very specific niche. But this is about humanity, and this is about us becoming better humans, and us sort of like understanding where we're coming from and be accepting of other people. It's about humanity. And I think we could argue that this is this minority or that minority. Yeah, there are some really screwed up issues that are taking place, and it's been worse for a lot of people, not just this minority, and during the past 4 years. But it's
Right.
about humanity. It's about accepting someone who is different from us, whether whether they sleep on the street. There's a lot of
Right.
there are a lot of phobias, and I think when the world is in chaos, we try I think it's our
Well,
nature. We
yeah, I
blame
mean,
others immediately, automatically, and
well, I think it's the bottom line is there are some people that feel that people that deviate from the so-called norm are not are not are not deserving of being treated
Right.
equal. So in their mind, why should I have to treat them equal? Because they're outcasts. But they don't look at it that could have happened to anybody in their family too. Then they'd have a different view. But we have to be realistic, and some people will never
Sorry.
are incapable of having the compassion and empathy of others because of the way their personalities.
Well, I mean,
So,
yeah, and I'm gonna bring the word privilege because
yeah,
unfortunately they haven't been able. I mean, they haven't. I mean, I don't know. It's education, and that's why
yeah,
we're doing this as well, because I constantly learn from others. It's also being humble enough to know that we don't have all the answers, and we have to ask the people who are experiencing
right.
this we have to ask them. It's because we had these ideas that are formed, and it's a lot, but we have to be. There's a reason why we're here on earth, for God's sake. We have to become better humans every single day, and that doesn't happen overnight. We have to work at it. So
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so
um
much.
sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. This is this is just beautiful. And yeah, we just work a little bit more values. If you wanted to bring some of the highlights, I think you did, but you could. I mean, it's just beautiful. I love the way you did the fur, and there is also some.
Yeah, I got a lot of ways to go though.
You have a great bone structure. In regards of the drawing, for example, I just love how you have it. Separation between facial features, which is something that it would come before making decisions about value. But I think you have something pretty nicely well harmonized in that sense, very well harmonized. So take it from here.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thanks, Dina. And Laura, just gonna go down the. Wow, this is so beautiful, Laura. Oh my gosh, I love the composition. Actually, let me just first, I think if you're here, I know that sometimes you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Yeah, you changed the orientation. I think that's good.
Oh, I did?
But Laura. So you have like this vertical orientation, and then you have
the orientation of the, yes.
the paper. So this means that you are gonna have to recreate the space, or you can just create this idea of almost a vignette like, so it doesn't have to be all the way to the edges, right?
That's what I actually want to do, because I did that, and I did it because I wanted to make sure to fit her head. Well, I could have done it the other way, but I don't know. I just thought it would be good because she's in the car. I want to make sure that we know she's in the car, because today everybody's doing their like little lives in the car, and it's part of the culture. But yeah, my intention is to do like fray the everything around, almost like a mirage, like she's basically gone. She's kind of gone. You know what I mean? Like she's disappearing.
Okay.
She's there, but I mean the rest, she's like a dream now or something. I don't know. Just the edges I want to just fray, you know what I mean?
Right. I think that's excellent. It's a good idea. In fact, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. It's an excellent idea, and you have so many possibilities about how to create that dissolving transition. So it's not just concentrated on a round halo. You could also do sort of like a from left to right. You can make it softer, and then it slowly becomes more defining, and then so. Yeah, so you have options, and I'm also very glad that you gave space for her hair. I think that is really important, and yeah, I think that's really beautiful. I think it's really beautiful. I was just learning again from people that are the specialists, learning about the difference between race and ethnicity, and although I thought I knew what the difference is, someone who is Black actually was explaining from their experience. And so they were saying that you could have an ethnicity that makes you Black, but unless you look Black, you are not considered Black by the community. So I never thought of it this way. I thought, I pretty much understood what the difference is, but there is a distinction between ethnicity, meaning past, and your grandfather, whoever who was native or indigenous or Black, but unless you actually look Black, you are not. That's what she was saying. You are not Black unless you look, or you're identified as Black, because she said that race is a social construct ultimately. So it's not just the color of the skin, but it's sort of like a social construct. So this was the discussion and an argument based on hair, and how someone who was white was wearing a hairstyle, and then she said something outrageous, and then this person corrected her, So anyhow, just going back to your painting, I think this is very important because it's part of the identity, and I just think that, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Like the hair is part of the identity. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
I would never say this because I almost feel like racist saying what makes you look like one person or another, but seeing her or listening to her talking about this and making the distinction really opened my eyes, because, oops, sorry guys. Yeah, never mind.
For sure. And I think that opens a conversation about what do they call it when they take your identity, when people, what do they call that when they take your identity, the appropriation, identity appropriation,
Right,
how a lot of people are like, you can't wear like little things like that, because you can't wear like little braids, because some people feel like a culture appropriation.
Well, some people,
you know what I mean, that sort of thing, which for me is like, I like the braids, so you know what I mean. But it's I think it's a normal thing to say that what identifies somebody in the culture, especially the hair. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think that there's anything negative or racist about it at all.
Right. No, to me, the thing is that from a place of privilege, we appropriate. I say we in general, we appropriate, but then we don't equalize things. So we appropriate a hairstyle, but we keep being racist. So I think that's.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
All right. So
like
yeah,
we take, but we don't give back, or kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So people are saying stop appropriating until, you know, you treat us equally, you know.
Mm.
Again, it's something that out of privilege I would have never questioned, but now I understand because people speak up and they say, stop, you know, for centuries you've been appropriating, making things part of your culture, and here we are still, we don't have the same rights, and they're trying to get rid of us or whatever, you know. So I totally I totally get it, and it's just
Yeah,
awful.
true. Yes, absolutely.
You know what I wanted to mention too, when you're talking about that, like President Obama, he's always referred to as, you know, he's black, you know, and people didn't like him because it was black. Well, he's 50% black and 50% white. So nobody ever, you know, they'd always point that out. They, you know, which is totally unfair. But it goes to show you how the bias, if somebody could be a quarter black in blood, but if they're coloring and they look, you know,
White.
black or white, then that's how people perceive them and treat them. And it's just really messed up. But
Yeah, well,
I always just got really, you know, when people say, well, some people that are prejudiced or racist, they don't like President Obama because he's black, but he's 50% black and
wow,
50% white, which is half and half. So how can you,
crazy.
you just, you know, you just label people, and it's just not fair. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that. So
But apparently, even if you have like a small drop of like, I think it was 15% or something, that
yeah,
you're considered black. And but you're right, if you don't look black, sometimes people don't consider you black, even if you're
yeah,
half. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just messed up. So
Yes,
I
anyway,
just can't imagine somebody actually saying, I've never heard anybody saying that to me, you know, oh, I don't like him because he's black. That would be like a shock of my life. To my face, somebody saying to me, I don't like President
yeah,
because he's black. That's weird. I mean,
yeah,
I hear people saying that like out in the world, but to my face or to me, I've never heard anybody say
yeah.
that. It's just bizarre that you say that somebody said that to you. That's weird.
No, I mean no, when they talk about, yeah, when you hear people say, well, I didn't like Obama because he's black, and I always would say, well, you know, why don't they think that he's half black and he's half white? You know, why can't they just accept that? But it's just
because
sad.
race is about it's about the look, you know, I guess it's about how
And and the indigenous people of this country,
Hmm?
the Indians, and you know, they took land. I don't know, it's just messed up. The predominant group that's privileged was a group that were immigrants that came to this land and stole it and used immigrants to build railroads and to use basically as slaves, right?
Yeah.
And then once they got the country to a certain level, then they're expendable, right? Then we're not going to treat you like you're valuable anymore because now we got what we needed out of you. So I hope each generation, they're learning, they're more open-minded, and that's a blessing. And hopefully the real history will start to be taught in school.
Yes, the correct history.
right. Thanks, Tina. Yeah, I agree. Yes. So thank you. And Laura, yes. So I would, yeah, see how you kind of like develop that. And then I love, I think the hand's like, the hand's very small.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so, but
Oh, I
I
think
don't
you're
see it.
right. I
I
think you're
think
right.
so. And then you have to reinterpret, yeah,
I
the
think
way
you're
you did it.
right.
Yeah, okay. So I think this is like a really, really pronounced curve. So I would just consider doing more of a shaving a little bit more of this bump right here. Doesn't have to
Okay.
be like a super angular, but I
Yeah.
feel, you know, give a sense of the wrist or
Mm.
something that has more of a straighter, and then the hand has
Mhm.
the drop perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a
So
tough one because I can't see it. right?
I know. And
But
so
yeah.
I imagine that she's kind of like leaning the shoulder somewhere.
Oh yeah, you're
which,
right.
I mean, you did a good job.
Oh, that's true. You're right. You're right.
But there's something really good about the fact that you are recreating. So I love what's happening. Don't change it. I mean, just build on it. But
Okay.
maybe the hand a little bit bigger, just so it's more expressive and it doesn't get like it gets more of a harmonious correlation. But yeah, just keep it. I think it's just beautiful.
Okay. Okay. And then the eyes, it's okay that one is smaller than the
I
other.
love that. I love that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be all perfect. In fact,
Right.
you know, there's something really with character and originality that I think and as you build, you'll probably by inertia, you'll probably tweak a little bit the eye. So if you feel so, but it doesn't feel off or odd or what stands out in that sense. It's just the hand for me. Just
Okay.
in that sense, the
Okay.
rest, it just looks dynamic, interesting, and really genuine and original.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Julio. I can't wait to keep working on it.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
And let me just check 1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second.
So we have Sarah Brochure left and Lois.
Okay, Lois. So Sarah Brochure left. Sorry, yeah. And Lois. Okay, good. Yeah. Hi, Lois. Thanks for doing this amazing, incredible image. Love the composition. Again, I just love the cropping. Really good. Love the brush strokes, color palette. This hair is amazing. I like that you just brought more intensity and luster on the hair. So I would just mention maybe like drawing wise, I think again, similar to what I mentioned to Julie, I think the mouth and the bottom of the nose, maybe I would just reconsider their location. I think the bottom of the nose, you did a good job. It's just like closer to it. Our noses are much closer to the eye level than we think. But I would think the bottom up, sorry, I just keep the bottom of the nose. I look at the line between the lips and I feel it's a little bit too close to the bottom of the nose. It's the thing that stands out in the portrait for me. I would just drop it a tad. I don't know if that's it's helpful or it's like.
Yeah, I think I was working on the mouth when it was time to go, time to quit.
Oh.
But I'm trying to really just do lights and darks and sculpt them. So I can just sculpt that down.
Yeah, I think that's good. And you did a good job. And in regards of like looking an axis line and everything like that, I think it's great. You've got that shoulder. There's something really interesting about that leaning towards the left and giving that empty space right here. Love that counterbalance of darkness on the left and then the empty space on the right. I think that's really beautiful. I would bring some warmth on the skin tone.
Yeah, all of it needs a little bit of like rose kind of, or burnt sienna or something definitely.
Yeah, I would just a little bit. And then, yeah, I love the harmonious color and value on both the skin and the nude or the tan camel color on the sweater. I think that's something really beautiful. It's just almost like a way of making her feel vulnerable, but it's still clothed. There's something really nice about that.
Yeah.
And it just feels really compositionally, this is just amazing. What you have here, you have such a line of beauty, out and in and out and in again.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous. Yeah, you got the beautiful line of beauty. So
yeah, I think I got it pretty juicy, so I think I might wait.
Okay, good. Sounds good, Lois. Thanks for painting.
Thank you. Good assignment. Everybody's looks so good. Everybody captured. All of these women have these kind of attitudes or looks, you know, these photos that you found, and I think everyone captured those.
They're
I
beautiful.
think that's the most important part of these sculptures, is kind of the way they hold themselves. So that's really
Right.
cool.
Good point. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just think they're
everybody.
beautiful.
Ciao, everybody. Enjoy the weekend.
Yay. Yeah. Thanks. Any questions? Any comments? Let us know. Thanks for sending the notes, Jen. Good luck with the.
Hey,
Oh,
Sarah's here.
Sarah Brochure. Sorry. I think I thought you left, Sarah Brochure. Thank you. Yes, this looks amazing. And sorry. Yay. Hi, guys. Oh, this is so cute. Oh, man.
Congratulations, Sarah. Beautiful baby.
Let me just do one thing, Sarah, before
Oh my gosh.
spotlight. Sorry. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So
She's
beautiful.
Thank you. She's 4 weeks and a day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
How are
What's
you?
her name?
Her name's Isabel.
Oh, how's she
So
doing?
great.
She's good. She just had a long nap while I got to paint, and then I was feeding her while we were watching all the critiques, so it worked out. The timing worked out pretty well for us.
Oh my God.
Oh, so precious. We're so happy. We're excited for you guys. Congratulations again. I'm so happy that you guys okay, and thanks for sharing this beautiful image, and thanks for painting. So we
Thank
missed
you. Really fun to be back.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome. Wonderful. And thanks. I should say, I apologize. I caught the same image. I know that Amanda, she probably missed the instructions, Sarah. So she's not here. I apologize. I should have been a little bit more specific with her. She just chose that image, and I don't think she read my email. So I saw your name after, and I thought, and I better point it out because Sarah's probably saying, "What the hell is going on here?"
I don't care. It's great. Good to see. It's fun.
I'm glad that there are major differences. I love the light on your painting. I think that really stands out. And so compositionally, it's totally different. I love the fact that you actually left space for that darkness on the background. And I think that it's just brilliant. It helps a lot. There's something very expressive about leaving that much empty space. I love that you didn't, I don't know how you're going to take this, but I love that you didn't put any city lights or anything. It just brings focus to the expression of the face, accentuates the light in the scene. So I think it's very cinematic. It's really good. And okay, so compositionally, I know that it's really close to the top because the image has that, but I don't think that's really affecting visually any paths. It's not interrupting. You could even the way you did it, it's so soft that it doesn't feel like it's super cut. So I think compositionally that works. And also because you brought a lot of definition on this part of the painting, and you left the top a little bit softer and more dissolved, so it doesn't really interfere with how we see the painting or how I see the painting. So keep that. I would say recommendation, keep it soft. So sometimes when we work with the composition and arranging within a frame and compositionally things are a little bit off, not off, but without enough space. I like to work with the arranging definition or working with composition by defining things a little bit more focused to this part of the painting, and then this automatically doesn't become something that requires a lot of attention to observe. Let me just bring the image because I think let me just bring that image. 1 second. Let me just move this lower and I'll put it closer. So we can talk a little bit about other elements. Yeah, no, I think that's good. I'm looking at the tilt of the head also, and I think you did a good job. Again, that zigzagging line, it's just so sophisticated on the image. the part of the hair following one direction, and then the axis of the head, the opposite tilt, and then the neck. So I just feel like this feels a little bit vertical, the axis of the face, which is okay. As we talked about it with Julie, I wouldn't change it because it would require, oops, sorry, I think someone wants to come in. Jen got kicked out. Hold on one second. Here we go, Jen. It would require to rework everything too much, and I wouldn't do it. And there's something also very serene about the way you painted the face. So, and I'm glad also that it's different from Amanda's recreation. So in regards of the expression, I'm glad, actually, I'm glad. So yeah, I would possibly also on the neck, I would work on the collarbone perhaps a little bit more. This area feels less built or with less kind of like structural or bone structure. So this could be an area that I could work. I'm glad that you added the accessory. This is also very good. I love how you painted the pompon on the right. I think that's very good. So maybe just another area that I would work on is the eyes. I feel like they're very stark and there's a lot of contrast. You have such wonderful blending of the strokes on the bottom part of the image. It's so expressive and harmonious. I feel like on the eyes, I would possibly try to harmonize them a little bit more. You have a, even though this is pretty dark on the eyebrows, but I just feel like I would soften a little bit, some parts of the eyebrow, perhaps the sclera, the part of the white of the eye, a little bit, a tad softer, I would say. Yeah, a tad softer. Just so I would integrate the part of the eyes with the way you build and you work the value on the bottom of the face. Because right now the two parts, they feel not as well integrated. It's just a matter of like a few added notes. I would also build the nose a tad more, the bottom of the nose, sort of like close those gaps and soften that area a tad. Yeah, and that's it.
Thank you. It felt very rushed and also very chaotic because I haven't painted for months, and also everything is different. Like we renovated our garage, so everything's in a different place. So it was the first time trying to do anything, and I like put my stuff down in my paint, and then I didn't realize it, and then I was holding it and setting it on my lap, and I realized that I'd got paint all over my clothes. You know, it's just also I started very late. It's just one of those funny things where I started off by watching you and making coffee and having breakfast, and then half hour later I went and set up. It was just like very chaotic, but it was very fun. And I'm excited to keep working on it. So thank you.
Well, I would say, but based on what you explained, this is extremely successful because it takes portraits take a while. And I think it just feels like you worked from beginning to end without interruption, the way you build it. So good job in that sense. And we haven't done portraits in 2 or 3 weeks, and I feel rusty. So I can't imagine like months after. It's just amazing what you accomplished.
I mean, I couldn't remember what brushes I like to use or what color paints I like to use. It was one of those things where I was like, wait, what is this chemical in this jar? I think this is the turpentine. I'm not sure. We'll just find out.
Yeah. You're a rock star, Sarah. The fact that you're doing it 4 weeks after having a baby, it's incredible.
Well, my mom is here, so that helps that she got to take care of the baby.
Hi, Mom.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Lucky grandma.
We should say that we hope everything we said wasn't too crazy, because I know that I said a lot of crazy things. So if you had the microphone or the volume on, you know, I hope it wasn't too outrageous.
Really great. Really.
But yeah, you're a rock star. Bottom line, this looks amazing. And if you could, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how busy you may be, but it's such an exquisite painting that it would be so great to add it to the collection. If you only work like for 5 or 10 minutes on the eyes, it would be done. So
I'll take some more time at some point.
okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
So thanks again, everyone. This hold on 1 second. Let me just bring I don't know. Oh, wait. Okay, here we go. This was amazing. Thanks for showing up. Number one, it's just always very humbling, even though we've done this for months, to see what a great response you guys had. The paintings look incredible, and we're inspired by your work. I'm glad we did a portrait, and I'm glad we did a portrait not only because of the concept of this, but this was a good exercise in practicing a lot of things. You know, obviously the portrait itself, but skin tone, value, structural lines, alignments. So I found it really, really helpful, and I want to work on mine a little bit more. There's a lot that I want to do. This took a little bit longer just because portraiture takes a little bit longer. But yeah, if you can work on it, we're gonna get back again on Wednesday to continue working. And Jen, thanks for taking notes. Your notes are incredible.
Pleasure.
I hope you get the audition. Did you hear anything?
I haven't heard anything yet, so I'm hoping that's good.
That little baby's gonna bring us luck.
I
A
hope
baby
so,
brings
yeah.
bread. Did you ever hear that term? A baby brings bread.
Oh, that's great.
A loaf of bread or something.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, well, it's going to. I mean, who can say that we had a painting session and then we just had like a
Sarah,
month?
I can't believe the baby's here already. This is amazing.
No, I can't believe it.
Crazy
She's
thing with
sleeping.
quarantine, right? Just
You didn't even get to see you
Nobody ever
pregnant.
saw me pregnant at nobody.
I know.
It's actually not a bad
Stand
time
up.
to be quarantined when they're newborn like that. You
Great.
just said watch TV and hold them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so cute.
What amazing.
No,
thing.
it's just wonderful. And then Sarah, you know, thank you. It's just, we're very humbled that you just took a little bit of time and just painted. So
Completely.
Good for you.
Congratulations.
yeah. And then, so yeah, any questions, keep uploading. If you work on the painting, we'll just put some feedback, and I'll send a replay so you can play it back if you want to. And that's it. Yeah, have a safe weekend. Don't watch this crazy shit coming out of the TV. Sorry for cursing, but it's disgusting. I just thought we were over, you know, but no, there's more.
Really?
I know.
Heavy looks. Wow.
Yeah.
We had like 10 minutes of maybe, 10 minutes of, kind of a little bit of calm. Right?
It was so good to see people celebrating on the streets, the honking and stuff. And now we're like trapped in this grotesque.
I know, we're trapped again.
Even the news, the media people, I never saw them smiling so much when, on the day that, it was pronounced. But yeah, I haven't turned on the news lately.
Yeah,
so.
no, just make sure that you peel yours. I mean, it's hard because I get sucked in because again, it's like, who can say the worst possible thing and it happens, and then they just die. Yeah. But just for our mental health, just take breaks from it. And I'm gonna try to apply what I did before the election, which was just watch the news once a day instead of refreshing every 5 minutes. And see
What
how
about next week? It's Thanksgiving weekend. Are
This-
you going to be giving class on Friday or not?
Oh, I think we are, right, Jen? I think we don't have any plans otherwise.
I don't have anything. I'll be here.
If you guys are up for, I think we'll just do Thanksgiving together or something. Maybe we could do
Yeah, Friendsgiving.
Friendsgiving.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just talk about it later, and then maybe we can even do something Thursday. Well, we'll see. Yeah, Friday for sure.
Friday for sure. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys.
Awesome.
So good to see your faces.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everyone. So good to
Bye.
see you. Thank you.